Yeah, perfect. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for coming to today's event. So today we'll be talking about the 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War. As you guys are aware, this month is December, and around 49 years ago on this month, Bangladesh gained its independence. And in fact, in 5 days' time, on the 16th of December of 1971, Bangladesh achieved Victory Day, and this year we'll be celebrating our 50th Victory Day. So just to celebrate that and to know more about Bangladesh and Bengali history, today we have two speakers. Our first speaker is Zubayer, who is just going to give us an introduction about the Bangladesh Liberation War. Over to you, Zubayer.
Yes, everyone is listening, right? My
Yeah,
sound
we can hear you.
quality is all right. Yes. So the liberation of Bangladesh, right? It started after the splitting of nation between India and Pakistan in 1947, when British colony ended. Soon after that, in 1948, the governor of Pakistan declared Urdu to be the sole national language of the country, right? And just one point of clarification: when I say East Pakistan, it means Bangladesh, right? And when I say West Pakistan, it means Pakistan, right? The point, just a point of clarification. So in 1948, the governor of Pakistan declared Urdu to be the sole national language of the entire country, both East and West Pakistan. This is the moment when the people of East Pakistan, who were majority Bengali speakers, they erupted. They started public meetings. Uh, they started national-wide rallies, protests, and in 1950, on 21st February of 1952, some students from the University of Dhaka, who were in the protest, got shot openly by the Pakistan army. This is the only event. I mean, this is I don't know, like, is there any such event in history where humans sacrifice their life for the sole cause of their mother tongue? And this is clearly a landmark event of 21st February in 1952. So it was getting clear that the Pakistan government will not allow anything other than Urdu to be the language, to be the national language of both East and West Pakistan. And that time, the political party based in East Pakistan, who were Bengali, named Awami League Party, who were led by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. He started to gain influence and power. Having said that, there was a free election that was held in 1970s, where Awami League basically won the majority vote. And we know, like, what happens when a country where democratic values are not upheld, right? We know what happens. Power was never given to Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, despite the fact he won the majority of the vote in East Pakistan. And things were turning clear, slowly but surely, that East Pakistan was just used, and their people were subjugated. There was no economic inequalities. The rule of laws were not equal. Things are getting clear, and it is only then, on the 7th March of 1971, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman gave his most famous speech in a place called Ramna Race Course. And in that speech, he basically declared a non-cooperative movement, right? Like, we're not going to cooperate because you're not listening to our demands. You're not honoring your promises, and you're just using this you're just using this part of the land. It is as if like private benefit at public expense, right? So this is the critical moment where Sheikh Mujibur Rahman declared that we're going to lead a non-cooperative movement. At that point, the speech of 7th March 1971, the entire nation, it is as if the entire nation awake, and they joined in the spirit of the war of liberation and independence. And it was escalating and intensifying. The movement was escalating and intensifying. And at that point, on 25th March, the Pakistan government operated Operation Searchlight, which is basically a systematic plan to curb the nationalist movement of Bangladesh. And then this began the concept of genocide of 1971, right? The Operation Searchlight initiated the genocide of 1971. There is no accurate quantification, but it is assumed that around 3 million to 30 million, it is assumed that around 0.3 million to 3 million people were killed. There is no accurate quantification, and some 10 million people were dispatched as refugees to India. It was a huge movement, and only then in 26 March, the first declaration of independence was held. And on 26 March, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman declared Bangladesh to be an independent state. This declaration, basically, it is as if the entire nation came together in spirit that we're going to fight whatever happens, right? And the intensification and escalation of this movement went until the 16th December 1971, when Bangladesh became, when Bangladesh got the victory with the help of Indian Army. So I would like to tell some more comments. After the independence of Bangladesh, the former Secretary of the United States said, Henry Kissinger said, Bangladesh is a basket case, right? I mean, as if it can't sustain by itself. And we know that it is now one of the fastest growing economies in the world. And also, like one more comment, like when Fidel Castro saw the speech of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman of the 7th March, he made this famous quote that, I have not seen the Himalayas, but I have seen Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. And it is as if I've seen the Himalayas. So the point I'm trying to raise is culture is a very big part of Bangladesh. I mean, there has not been such an event anywhere else in the world where people fought for the sake of their mother tongue language. And for this reason, like in 1999, UNESCO declared 21st February to be International Mother Language Day. And I would like to tell Shafayat to introduce our esteemed speaker. Yes.
Thank you so much, Zubayer, for the introduction about what happened in the Bangladesh Liberation War and before that. So our next speaker is Julie. Julie is the chairperson of the Swadhinata Trust. The Swadhinata Trust is a London-based secular Bengali community group that works to promote Bengali history and heritage amongst young Bengali. The trust has been set up in the year 2000, and it has been offering seminars, workshops, exhibitions, and education and literature to young people in the UK. Today, Julie is going to give us an insight into the work she does and the work the trust does to promote Bengali history. Over to you, Julie.
Everyone. Well, thank you very much for inviting me in the first place. It's my first contact with UCL Bangla Society. So it's fantastic, and I hope we can continue having a relationship with you and to do some joint events and activities together. As Mohammed Safayat just introduced me, I am currently the chair of the Stratanatha Trust. And as Mohammed said, we were set up in the year 2000. So we've been running for about 20 years, literally 20 years. So it was the 4th of November when we launched the Swadhinata Trust, and it was launched in 93 Feet East, which is a club in Brick Lane. And that evening we had various people from the Bengali and non-Bengali community performing and celebrating our launch. And this was something we were very conscious of because we wanted it to be for young people and about young people. So as Mohammed introduced us, it's a community group that works to promote Bengali culture and history and heritage amongst young people. And the reason we focused on this is because there was a dearth of information that was not available for young people, especially 20 years ago, about their Bengali history and heritage in the UK. I myself am 52 years old now, but at the time when I was a teenager, there was nothing in the UK education or even in the Bengali community to provide information about why was I here? Why was my family here? What was our connection to Britain? What was the relationship? How did we end up living our lives in this hostile environment at the time, which was the 1960s, 1970s? And why had my parents chose to emigrate to a country which looked upon us with such derision and hatred? And so this was something that was quite a personal journey as well as a political journey for me. And so when the opportunity arose with people like Ansar Ahmed Ullah and other like-minded people in the Bengali community, but also non-Bengalis, we decided that it was really important to found and to set up a trust which was dedicated to informing young people about their history and heritage. So we started off trying to work with young people and being located where young people were meeting and exhibiting their cultural heritage and connecting with their history. So the trust is there to promote history and culture and to ensure its representation as an essential part of the history of Britain. And this is really important because we are British Bangladeshis here, and by extension to our contemporary world, and to find connections between people from all over the world too. So the need for such a trust arose because there was a sense of absence in documentation and social data representing Bengalis and Bengali heritage and the historical presence in this country. And because of this lack of representation and achievements, we wanted to create and research and to provide that kind of documentation so young people, as well as other stakeholders, could find out about Bengali history and culture and to see how we contribute to this country as well as the rest of the world. So and we also saw that there was a negative impact on this lack of representation and documentation. And we sensed that there was a sense of marginalization and low self-esteem and alienation amongst the young people in particular, as a part of an ethnic minority community group in the wider society in the UK. And so we realised that in turn limits their participation and contribution to mainstream culture. And so, and this is not true for everybody, but for people who are coming from a particularly a lower working class background, this really impacts a lot of young people who don't have lots of opportunities or the background or the education to sort of have an equal status in the UK society. So that's a bit of the background of why the trust came to being. As a part of our goal, we want to promote Bengali culture to a wider audience, and that means Bengalis as well as non-Bengalis. There's lots of young people who don't know about their historical or cultural heritage in this country, and so we want to create resources and opportunities so people can get involved and become leaders in their own community when it comes to representing what Bengali culture and history is. We want people to be involved in researching studies. So there's research opportunities that are currently going on at the moment with King's College, looking at the learning about COVID and the impact that's been having on the Bangladeshi population. We want people to be involved in cultural opportunities like the Bengali music and musicians project that we're doing with the British Library Sound Archive, and looking at educational organising educational materials that come out of sort of oral history projects that we've done in the past, but also that we're engaging presently with Four Corners, looking at Brick Lane 1978 and how that event has impacted on not just local history, but national and international history in terms of how ethnic minorities engage in their communities. And so we've developed a series of projects that will enable us to sort of engage with people in diverse ways. So we operate as a community, and it's not for profit. So all of us work in our spare time. So this is done in my spare time, in Ansar's spare time. And when there's opportunities, obviously, we try and raise funds for projects and things like that. We try and sell educational materials, the books and research that we've published. We get involved in teaching, consultancy services to statutory and voluntary and community sector agencies in town hamlets, and also nationally as well as internationally whenever possible. I mean, the establishment, sort of long-term goal is to establish an archival facility, which will be a centre for excellence where people can come to find out about Bengali culture and history in the UK. And it will focus on our presence here. And it will also complement, have a complement of educational activities so people can engage with the archive. Within the definition of our activities, we want to explore our local history, and we do that by having something that we offer to people on a regular basis, which is a Bengali history tour of the local area, which documents the presence of Bengalis in town hamlets. We are very fortunate to have patrons as John Eade, Professor John Eade from the Centre of Research on Nationalism, Ethnicity and Multiculturalism at Cronham, and also Professor Chetan Bhatt, who is currently working as the Director of the Centre of the Study of Human Rights in the London School of Economics. I forgot to mention that with Chetan, we're also documenting and working on the Bloggers Project, which is looking at how Bangladeshis in particular are being harassed and attacked by people for blogging on the internet. And we've created resources like a directory to support people, but also looking at how we could do a report documenting the cases of people being harassed both here in the UK and in Bangladesh, but also highlighting the way that Islamists have been targeting individuals with hateful actions and murder, quite literally. And so it's really important that we highlight not just the positive, but also the negative aspects of what's going on in our communities. And we're fortunate to have trustees like Jamal Iqbal and Alice Seal and Tariq Khan. We have a fantastic volunteer director in Ansar Ahmed Ullah. We also have sort of volunteer webmasters, John Pullman and webmaster Mizanur Rahman. So with people like this, we are really well placed to sort of try to meet our aims. So as a part of our goals, we seeking to establish a centre which main activity will be in the field of culture, research and education. And then we will try and work with other organisations that we're doing at the moment. As I mentioned, the British Library Sound Archive, the LSC Human Rights Centre of Human Rights, Four Corners, as well as King's College London. So within our own sort of small, sort of volunteer-led organisation, we are doing quite a lot of activities and a diverse range of things that we hope young people as well as others will be involved in and be excited about. And there are opportunities for people to volunteer, to get involved, to do research, and to be a part of this amazing organisation that we set up 20 years ago. Over to you, Mohammed.
Thank you so much for the interaction and for talking to us about your trust and what you guys do. I think we can kind of move to the questions. If anyone has any questions, just drop them down on the chat. We also have Ansar, who also works for the Swadhinata Trust, and he will help us answer any questions that you guys have.
Absolutely, yes. So Ansar is here to support us, support the trust with whatever, the work that he's doing in terms of coordinating the work that we do in the trust.
Can I just add a couple of things that Julie may have left out?
Thank you.
Is that okay, Shafan?
Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely fine, yeah.
Okay, so I mean, Julie did a comprehensive cover of the things that we do, but this might be useful to you. Julie and the trust itself produced a book on the Bengali language movement that Zubayer talked about earlier on. It's in English, so I guess, if you're doing something around Martyrs' Day next year, you could use the book as a resource. We also have a poster of, I don't know if you know of Abdul Ghaffar Chaudhry, who wrote a very famous song around the language movement. We have a translation in English, so we have posters of that too. The other thing is, as we are discussing the Bangladesh independence, we also have a book, which is a collection of interviews of people who took part in the campaign to support the movement of Bangladesh from the UK. So all the interviews are on our website. There's also a book. And we also have a teaching pack that can be used for school children or young people around the Bangladesh's independence movement. So again, once again, UCL or your society can use those resources in any future event.
Thank you, Ansar. That was great. Yes.
Thank you so much. And yeah, no, if anyone has any questions around anything that Ansar or Julie spoke about, just drop them on the chat, and then we can answer them.